You're Tony Soprano's kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a little cream on your mouth there, sweetie.
Think you've seen brutal beatdowns on TV? Wait till you see how Tony handled the guy who crossed the ultimate line. Welcome to Sopranos Breakdown. I'm Matthew. Together, we'll dive deep into the world of Tony, Carmela, and the rest of the crew, uncovering hidden details and exploring the deeper meanings behind every episode. If you love The Sopranos, do me a favor, smash that like button so more fans can find this content. All right, let's get started.
You're Tony Soprano's kid, right?
Yeah.
Small world running into you like this, huh?
I'm sorry, do I know you?
Tony curb-stomping Coco Cogliano is one of the most brutal and satisfying beatdowns in The Sopranos. What makes it so intense isn't just the violence, it's Tony's demeanor. No big guns, no flashy threats, just pure, unhinged rage with that crazed look in his eyes. James Gandolfini's acting here is absolutely unreal.
Yeah, you got a little cream on your mouth there, sweetie. Be happy to add to it.
What?
Excuse me. Lucky guy, her dad. Must be fun tucking her in at night, huh? No problem. Not yet. Would you like one?
Coco, come on.
What? I'm saying hello.
Coco had it coming. Who thinks they can harass the boss's daughter and get away with it? Same mistake Fat Dom made mouthing off about Vito to Carlo and Sil. They never took Jersey seriously. A fatal error Phil Leotardo never made, despite his loud mouth. Phil hated Jersey, sure, but he respected their danger. Not after Tony ran him off the road and whatever happened with his kid brother. You know, the shooting. God rest his soul.
Historically, Carmine always said the Sopranos are nothing more than a glorified crew. Plain and simple. We decapitate and we do business with whatever's left.
New York always saw Jersey as a glorified crew, a joke compared to their legendary status. They underestimated them. Forgetting you don't need respect to get your teeth smashed in. Coco was drunk, stupid, and thought Tony was too distracted to care. Instead, Tony made an example of him, turning him into a bloody mess on the floor.
Butch, Coco, did anybody call you guys?
About what?
Don't tell me the fucking checks are late. There ain't any checks.
What the fuck you talking about?
Butchie, who usually has nothing but contempt for Tony, just sat there silently, knowing Coco was doomed. Surprisingly, Coco survived. Despite losing teeth and likely massive head trauma, he didn't die or slip into a coma. But with his age, weight, and probable health issues, it's a wonder he made it through without catastrophic damage. Tony didn't shoot Butchie because Butchie didn't provoke him. He just watched it happen.
Do you know a guy named Coco?
Why?
She was out on a date last night, and he came over and pulled some crap.
What? What kind of weird stuff?
How he liked to tuck me in at night, stuff like that.
Tuck you in?
I could smell the sambuca on his breath.
What exactly did he say?
Tony calmly told Carmen Meadow he was just going to talk, all while seething with barely contained fury. This scene shows Tony's controlled rage. He's furious, but measured. The violence is deeply personal. His daughter was insulted, but he doesn't escalate into all-out war. Yet, the aftermath was costly. Bobby dead, Silvio in a coma, Carlo flipped, and Paulie left in charge of a crippled crew. Tony's impulsive reaction came at a huge price for Jersey. Still, of all the beatdowns on the show, this one felt the most justified. No one sympathized with Coco. Even the restaurant staff didn't flinch. They just grabbed a mop and cleaned up the teeth. Never, ever try to kill a room with a Reginald Van Gleeson III reference, unless you want to sound like Tony B.
Reginald Van Gleeson III. Oh boy, are you fat.
Where the hell did Tony B pull that reference from? Reginald Van Gleeson III. Are you kidding me? He really thought that was going to kill the room? What, did Tony Soprano watch the Jackie Gleason show when he was 7 years old? That would put Paulie in his 20s at the time. Makes sense, especially since Paulie always seemed like a guy who lived for television. So yeah, it actually tracks. Tony B's sharp, great at picking up patterns, and probably figured an old-school Gleason bit would stick. The showrunner's ancient too, like Ichabod Crane old. Yet, Tony B doesn't know who Barney Fife is. Every pop culture reference in The Sopranos is borderline archaeological.
Who the fuck are you? Ralph Bunch over here.
The one that really caught me was Patsy's. Who the fuck are you, Ralph Bunch over here? First Black Nobel Peace Prize winner, totally forgotten in a society that made massive genius rich. Patsy probably aced history in school. Turns out he's a PhD in math in real life. His student reviews are hilarious, like a Sopranos character, but with chalk dust instead of gunpowder. Everyone's doing a simulcast these days, but that midterm, it ain't gonna be cinematic. And then there's Judge Roy Bean. Speaking of crystal meth, take a look at this Walyo, Tony watching a Mickey Rooney flick from the 1940s. Or Crater. When Brian mentions the HUD scam and Tony covers it with a Paul Newman reference, HUD, 1963, as if Carmela, who could barely sit through Citizen Kane without mocking it with her girlfriends, so it was a sled, would buy that. Schled, Shum Snow, Rochabud. Don't worry, in the inevitable reboot 10 years from now, that line will be Skibidi Riz Ohio Guyat.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Even Sill's Godfather line was current only by mobster standards. It was a decade old at the time. A Lawrence Welk program, still on PBS every Sunday. Robert Evans, the Maguire sisters, allegories everywhere. I should have fucked Dale Evans, but I didn't. Thanks for that, Professor McLuhan. And don't get me started on Knucklehead Smith in Members Only. Would have hit harder if Paul Winchell had edged out Edgar Bergen in the Great Dummy War of the Curse. 18 years, you don't crack a book, now suddenly you're the foremost fucking authority. History's great what if. 2 minutes in charge and he's Lee Iacocca, Ralphie of course. Iacocca saved Chrysler, did a commercial with Snoop Dogg, became shorthand for corporate comeback stories. Even The Office referenced him. This stuff was known. Who do you think you are, Sir Walter Raleigh? George Raft over here. Or that time, Carmela throws out, you look like Robert Evans over here. Absolute bombshell of a line.
Oh, Carlos was teaching you the mambo. That's a different story. Get out! Get out!
Then there's Tony Egg. Mambo? Carlos was teaching you the mambo. Get out! Rusty sits there silently for 20 seconds, face like doing everything to pretend that joke didn't happen. Half the restaurant turning to stare like, what the hell is going on at that table? Was it supposed to show Tony B was just socially out of touch? Yeah. It wasn't that loud or offensive, but it sure as hell wasn't landing either. Mambo? Really? What is this? Sanford and Son? And everyone keeps pretending not to know Tony B. Tony B? Oh, you mean Tony Egg. Like the poor guy was never even real. You and Tony Egg again. Make my nephew an egg, will ya? Or offer him an aspirin. I'm a registered nurse, not a maid. Then Tony B thinking he's hot shit. IQ tested by nuns, apparently a genius. His IQ's in better shape than those fucking nuns. Sure, buddy, but pop culture-wise, dude hasn't caught a reference since Howdy Doody. These guys grew up in the 60s and 70s. Of course, their cultural bookmarks are ancient. It all makes sense if you think like someone who doesn't think Twitter is a news source. References this old? What are we? The amazing Kreskin? Gungadin? John Barrymore? Shecky Green? Joe Franklin? This is what happens when you let wise guys marinate in nostalgia and prison libraries. In here, it's 1954. Here's why Tony Soprano never gives degenerate gamblers a break, and why Arty Bucko gets away with everything, even pointing a gun at him. Why does Arty get to pay back his debt one meal at a time while Davey faces the standard collection program? Let's break it down.
Yeah, I used to go to school with a guy named Arty Bucco. The situation came up. It involves my uncle.
Arty Bucco and Tony Soprano have been friends since 3rd grade. Davy Scatino showed up later in high school and never quite reached that level of friendship. So, right off the bat, it's apples and bowling balls. Arty made one bad investment, was honest and upfront with Tony about the risks and what the money was for.
You know what it means for Arthur? One of these old mutts gets wet in here? Yeah.
Tony stepped in to help, not out of charity, but because Arty runs a useful Italian restaurant. Tony and his crew eat there for free, use it for events, and Tony even sends Furio to collect money from the French con artist who ripped Arty off. Tony clears his own $6,000 tab at the restaurant as part of the deal. It's a business move with perks.
You think I can take these guys or what, Davey? This isn't a game for you. Oh, come on. What are the chances of me getting...
Davey, on the other hand, snuck into a high-stakes card game Tony explicitly told him to stay out of. Davey hid the fact he already owed Richie April $8,000 and lied about Tony authorizing extra credit for him while Tony was asleep. Tony would never have agreed to that. Then Davey lost the money and tried to play it off with jokes and small talk, as if that would buy him a pass. Tony felt disrespected. Arty took his debt seriously, and when things got bad, even tried to kill himself. Tony doesn't want that kind of drama, but he respects that Arty took responsibility. Tony was already benefiting from Arty's restaurant, free meals, hosting wakes, and so on. Arty never tried to use their friendship for personal gain.
Do business with outside friends. You understand. Hey, do I have to show your high school prom picture of these guys? All kidding aside, I appreciate your position, but come on.
Davey only used their past connection to get into the game and expected favors because our kids go to school together. Tony hates that nostalgic nonsense. Remember whens are the lowest form of conversation. Arty isn't in the mob life. He's a civilian who got swindled. That's understandable. Davey was a degenerate gambler who dug his own hole deeper.
And I got in debt to him, and fucking Tony Soprano. All right? Yeah. Tony fucking Soprano. It's a bust out. You get in debt to him when you can't pay him, they become your partners, and then they fucking eat through everything like fucking termites.
Tony didn't hate Davey. He just lost all respect for him. Plus, from a practical standpoint, Davey's sporting goods store was going under no matter what. Tony had to squeeze whatever he could before it collapsed. Arty's restaurant was a legitimate business Tony could leverage. In the end, Arty is like the brother Tony never had. Davey? Just someone who didn't listen. One got a pass, the other got the standard treatment. That's business, not favoritism. And Davey was lucky he didn't get the full Furio treatment. Ever wonder how a single container of cheese can make 6 figures without anyone paying a dime? So about that provolone racket Carlo mentioned.
No fucking chip and cheese coming in next month. The imported provolone. I guess we can kiss that goodbye too now, right?
They planned to jack the whole container, but Johnny Sack's crew snatched it and took it to their spot.
6 million containers enter U.S. ports every year, yet fewer than 2% of them are opened and inspected by U.S. Customs.
It is physically impossible to check every container without essentially stopping global commerce.
Anyone want to guess how much profit that container pulls in, assuming the longshoremen and customs guys are paid off, of course? Seriously, how many pounds of provolone fit in a container? Could ask AI, but let's be honest. You probably think you know better.
I stick motherfucking provolone in my socks at night so they smell like your sister's crotch in the morning. All right? So leave the fucking cocksucking cheese where it is.
Provolone? It's nothing but a racket. For the Jews, apparently. Me? I stick provolone in my socks at night so they smell like your sister's crotch come morning. Yeah, I said it. I'd bet it's all pure profit, since they didn't pay a dime for it. Even if they sell it at a quarter of retail to Italian grocers or restaurants, that's still a damn good day's work.
Forget this fancy shit. You know what you need here? Top-notch mozzarella maker, like that kid from the other side. That's fucking cheese we ever had. The best. To get the real milk. Seriously, this kid, all he does 24 hours a day, he makes buffalo mozzarella. He's a master cheesemaker.
Kinda like that Ramlosa water Arty keeps pushing. I got a very good deal on it. Even if some street vendors sell it for 4 a pound, who's gonna say no? Forget Evian. Ramloza all day. Just like scissors. Everyone wants them, but Johnny.
Saturday, that fucking Phil and then put it on a truck, took it to Westchester instead of Rollway, where we always split the loads.
Ah, Jesus.
That shit is liquid gold.
He took the container to Westchester instead of Rahway, where the loads usually get split. That stuff's liquid gold. A pint of provolone costs more than a gallon of actual gold. The whole timeline got messed up. It's the racket, pure and simple. No, it's all Italian. Italian, Italian, Italian. Jews got better food anyway. Ricotta. Be serious. You want to guesstimate the profit now? Why the hell now? Leave it be. Anyway, $4 a pound. How many pounds of provolone can fit in your socks so they smell like your sister's crotch in the morning? Cheese fuck. Did some quick math. Even if they sell it discounted, it's all profit. I'd say a cool $100,000 in today's money. What's with the accounting talk? I'm working with numbers worth 9 out of 10 accountants. The exact reason they target shipments like this? Many of their front businesses sell direct to consumers at full price. Who's ever heard of a Jew eating provolone? Hasidim maybe, but I don't buy it. Like the Talmud says, I don't know about cheese, but I saw a bill of lading for 450,000 gallons of olive oil at $900,000. Then they got hit with the tariffs, bumped it to $990,000. Who's paying that? Not me. I heard Silvio took it all, again with the money? Anyway, $4 a pound, 3 a day M. The profit on stolen goods. 100% of whatever you sell it for. No wholesale, no cost. They'll price it below legit retail, obviously. There's still the cost of bribing customs and docks. Ever heard a line so weird it made you question if you've been living under a rock? Here's what Philly Parisi really meant when he said, "Boston is Scranton, we're clams." Alright, I'm honestly lost on what Philly Parisi meant by this one line. But first, a couple of things. I already know I'm a stun ad of the highest magnitude, so be patient with me like you would with a crackhead.
So how's Boston?
Well, it's good to be back for a while, Dan.
Do I? That place is smack. We're clams.
In episode 1 of season 2, titled Guy Walks into a Psychiatrist's Office, Philly Parisi says, "Boston is Scranton, we're clams." I get the vibe of the phrase, sort of, but never really nailed what he was trying to say. Let's break it down. Boston is Scranton, aka Boston sucks, like Scranton sucks. And we're clams. What? Clams. Sharp as a cue ball indeed. And then there's mayonnaise? Honestly, the line about some clams cracks me up every time. By the way,
I was at the clam broth house tonight. He beat that longshoreman to death over a corner table.
No, sir.
I was at the clam broth house the night Philly beat that longshoreman over a corner table. Did they serve canned clam chowder or what? Because some people are just revealing their own ignorance here. Someone suggested maybe I need to get my ears checked at the ENT. Sure, fine. Right after you take your medicine, asshole. There's a whole cast of characters chiming in. Ralph Bunche, Paul Hogan, and the world is ready for an Australian spin-off.
You know what you should get? A cork in your fucking mouth, because you tell people I'm nothing.
And plenty of "you're fucking stupid" thrown around. Honestly, Philly wasn't saying "we're clams" like it's some kind of team slogan. He was saying Boston is as lame as Scranton, which, FYI, is a universally accepted garbage city, except Boston, being coastal New England, has clams. So Boston is just Scranton with clams. I'll admit, that's pretty fucking clever, if you squint hard enough. But also kind of brutal. Also, yes, I'm a bit rude, but I've tried to dial it down. I used to respond to "have a nice day" with "go fuck your mother." Now I'm down to just a whatever. Progress, people. And to those asking if they take medicine, yeah, but rumor has it it might make them gay. Fire emojis all around. If you're born smart but poor, you can still get rich. Born rich and stupid? You'll always be stupid, but maybe not rich forever. Life's fun like that.
So you had coffee?
Right.
To those dropping random insults like, go fuck your mother and I lick your mother's pussy. Wow. Classy. Real intellectual debates here.
That place is Scranton with clams. So what's been going on? Same tale of woe.
Someone pointed out New England's shellfish reputation and said, that place is Scranton with clams. Basically, Boston sucks, but at least it's got decent seafood. So there's that. Others tried to say Philly might have meant we're happy as clams. But honestly, if Boston's Scranton, then we're clams is just Philly's way of saying the first part is so absurd, the second part must be too. Bottom line, Boston sucks. Traffic, the Patriots, massholes. But hey, they've got clams. And that's the hill we're all dying on. So yeah, that's what Philly meant. Scranton equals suck. Boston equals suck with shellfish. And we're just clams trying to survive the seafood buffet of life. Nice video, huh? Then act like it. Hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It's not rocket science, it's loyalty.